I'm Dr. Sandeepa Biswas and you're watching my channel Econs on Earth. In this video I'm going to describe sampling design. So before actually understanding what is sampling design, it is important to know what is universe or population. So a complete enumeration of all items in the population is known as census inquiry. It can be presumed that in such an inquiry, when all items are covered, no element of chance is left and highest accuracy is obtained. But that's not true always. Even the slightest element of bias in such an inquiry will get larger and larger as the number of observations increases. Moreover, there is no way of checking the element of bias or its extent except through a resurvey or use of sample checks. So what is sampling design? Sampling design is a technique of selecting respondents from the total population as representative as possible in order to produce a miniature cross-section. The researcher must prepare a sample design for his study and he must plan how a sample should be selected and what size of such sample would be. Sample design is determined before the data is actually collected, and there are many sample designs from which a researcher can choose. So there are some basic steps, simple basic steps but important before we conduct our study. These are: number 1, type of universe. The first step in developing any sample design is to clearly define the set of objects, technically called the universe, to be studied. The universe can be finite or infinite, both. In infinite universe, the number of items is certain, but in case of infinite universe, the number of items is infinite. That is, we cannot have any idea about the total number of the items. For example, the factory workers in any factory is the example of finite universe, while the stars in the sky are the example of infinite universe. Second point is sampling unit. A researcher has to decide the sampling unit before selecting the sample. Sampling unit may be a geographical one, such as a state, district, village, or a social unit such as family, or a construction unit, for example house, etc. Next point is source list. It is also known as sampling frame, from which sample is to be drawn. It contains the name of all items of a universe, in case of finite universe only. If source list is not available, the researcher has to prepare it. It should be comprehensive, correct, reliable, and appropriate. Another point is size of the sample. Now this refers to the number of items to be selected from the universe to constitute a sample. This is a major problem before a researcher, because the sample size should neither be excessively large nor too small. It should be optimum. An optimum sample is one which fulfills the requirement of efficiency, representativeness, reliability, and flexibility. While deciding the size of sample, the researcher must determine the desired precision as also an acceptable confidence level for the estimate. Size of population must be kept in view for this also, limits the sample size. Another point is parameters of interest. So, in determining the sample design, one must consider the question of the specific population parameters which are of interest. For example, we may be interested in estimating the proportion of persons with some characteristics in population, or we may be interested in knowing some average of the other measure concerning the population. There may also be some important subgroups in the population about which we would like to make estimates. The next point is budgetary constraint. Now, the cost consideration from practical point of view have a major impact upon decisions relating to not only the size of the sample but also the type of the sample we are going to take. Our last point is sampling procedure. Finally, the researcher must decide the type of sample he will use, that is, he must decide about the technique to be used in the selecting the items for the sample. It's a very important step, and the researcher tries to minimize the error content in his study. So I hope you have understood what is sampling design, and this video has improved your understanding about the sampling design. So I hope you liked my video. Please subscribe my channel and share my videos. Thank you so much.